the pushback of the uncommitted voters. The uncommitted voters are winning. The uncommitted voters, I would say, and I had this little bit of a back and forth conversation with Missy Winston on her show on TNT Radio about whether or not they will truly remain uncommitted. And I would say this to the voters in Michigan and Minnesota and all those others who wrote in uncommitted, especially for Super Tuesday, but perhaps even going further into the next primary elections that are going to be taking place. It is without a shadow of a doubt that people are upset and angry at the Democratic Party. And while corporate media might be singing its praises about Biden and the State of the Union, it is very clear to me, and even you, my viewing audience, that the uncommitted voting bloc remains undefeated. They are not going to just back down. Now, I say this because the genocide is still happening in Gaza, and all these ridiculous regime change wars are still ongoing, and the economy is still, well, let's face it, piss poor. I want to pull up this video from Hotspot. And it brings up a very interesting concept that we need to address about just how powerful this voting bloc can be and why the Democrats are losing more support. By the way, just a short reminder too, Hawaii had its primary and around less than 25% of people actually voted in that primary. I mean, it was low numbers. In comparison to the 2020 primary, the voter turnout was exponential. And in comparison to now, Democrats, good luck. But it's quite understandable why the people of Hawaii didn't turn out to vote for Biden. Even though he did win the primary, he got 1,000 votes. Last year, the last 4 years in 2020, in that election cycle, both Bernie and Biden were able to pull in the tens of thousands of voters. That says a lot. But perhaps a good reason why there was such a low voter turnout is because how the Democrats handled that massacre, that destruction, the wildfires in Lahaina.
Uncommitted vote had a massive showing during Super Tuesday, embarrassing the president. The Uncommitted campaign is a group of Democrats who show up to the polls to vote uncommitted to show Joe Biden how upset they are with him enabling Israel genocide against the Palestinians. And they are getting massive numbers. The Uncommitted campaign received so many votes in Michigan and Minnesota that Uncommitted actually received delegates in those two states. Joe Biden losing 100,000 votes in Michigan in a general election against Trump means that the election is over. And Democrats are extremely delusional if they thought that this Uncommitted campaign only consisted of Arabs, as if Arab Americans and Muslims are the only people who care about opposing a genocide. The data shows that a lot of the uncommitted votes is coming from the Black and Latino community, showing solidarity between Black, Latinos, and Arabs that was desperately needed. We are seeing the historic Democratic Party coalition being completely dismantled because of Joe Biden's insistence on supporting Israel as they commit to genocide against the Palestinians. Surely the Biden administration sees all these red flags and plans to reach out to all the Black and brown voters, listen to their concerns, and bring them back into the coalition. And Joe Biden is reaching out to Nikki Haley and her support.
Nikki Haley, because that's going to bring in voters, especially Republican voters. Listen, if Republican voters wanted to vote Democrat, then they would be Democrats already. If Republican voters wanted to support Joe Biden, then they would have done so. All right. Now, again, my opinion of the Nikki Haley campaign, and just like my opinion of the Sanctimonious and Baron Vladimir Harkonnen and Vivek and everybody else that was there, it was all lackluster. Republican voters wanted Trump. But this is how pathetic the Democrats are. They will still try and get Republican voters to vote for them because they know they've lost their coalition. They know that people like Bernie Sanders and AOC just don't have that magic in them anymore to sheep herd people into the Democratic Party. So they're going to try and get Republicans. Again, if Republicans wanted to vote Democrat, they would be Democrat voters. If they wanted to support Joe Biden, they would already have done so already. But that's where the Democrats are now. They want those moderate Republicans. But if those Republicans really wanted, again, to support Joe Biden, they would have been Democrat and voted Democrat in every other previous election cycle. The DNC is not filled with serious people.
Wait, what did Nikki Haley say about the genocide going on in Gaza right now?
And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, finish them. Finish them.
Well, you know, the fact that Trump is more sane and reasonable than Nikki Haley says a lot about this entire election cycle. Now, yes, Trump is also pro-Israel as well, but Jesus Christ, Nikki, I mean, who hurt you?
Hamas did this. You know Iran's behind it.
What does it say about Joe Biden and the Democratic Party that they are willing to reach out to Nikki Haley and her genocidal supporters before they even try to reach out to the black and brown, diverse, uncommitted coalition? Listen, the Uncommitted vote campaign is cute. I love that you guys got Democrats in shambles, but unless you're unwilling to vote for Joe Biden in the general election, this means nothing.
Now, here's the thing. Was that harsh to say? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Listen, uncommitted voters, I am very proud of what you've done. And I'm very happy that you have made the establishment, Democrats, and corporate media panic. But see, the thing is, they still don't respect you. They think that you will be scared enough to still support Joe Biden. And I understand. Donald Trump and Biden, they're not two sides of the same coin. They're not two sides of the same ass cheek or anything like that. They are the sphincter, okay? Biden and Trump are one the same. There is no difference between those two individuals. We have scraped the bottom of the barrel. And I don't believe in voting in the lesser of two evils because you're still supporting evil. Uncommitted voters, that name means something. And you have to now follow through with it. Follow through is going to be key. And you're going to be having to make the most difficult decision, I think, for a lot of you, because many of you are waking up and realizing that the Democrats don't respect you. Joe Biden doesn't respect you. The Democratic Party doesn't respect you. Bernie Sanders doesn't respect you. AOC doesn't respect you. No one associated with the Democratic Party at the state or federal level respects you. And at the DNC convention, all what they're going to be talking about is stopping Donald Trump. They're not going to be talking about the economy. They're not going to be talking about how divided our country is, the crisis at the border, and they're not going to be talking about stopping the genocide in Gaza. And I understand that many Black, Latino, and Arab voters are upset with Donald Trump. I get that too. But the one real effective way you can use your power is actually flexing it and showing that you are not a joke. The Democratic Party is going to use fear-mongering to make you feel guilty about how you voted uncommitted. They did that to Bernie Sanders supporters. They've done that to third-party voters. They've done that to independents. No matter what, they're going to try and fear-monger you and abuse you on social media to come back and to vote for Joe Biden or whoever the Democrat nominee will be. There is no plan in making all of our lives better. The real way you can use your power, uncommitted voters, is by, number one, if you live in a citizen ballot initiative state, first of all, finding out what the citizen ballot initiatives are and voting in favor of them, be they good or bad. However, which way, again, you got to know your rights as a voter. But also, number two, you don't owe your vote to Joe Biden and you don't owe your vote to Donald Trump. It is your choice to use however which way you want. And the thing is, if you use your power, if all of you truly do unite, and you actually make your presence known, especially on election night, by not voting Democrat or Republican, but maybe voting independent or either that, not voting at all, what the Democrats will do, and they will do this as well as corporate media, they're going to try and make you feel guilty and ashamed of your own free choice and decision. But you don't owe them an explanation. What you need to do is start making statements, doing actions necessary to flex your political power. The word uncommitted must mean something. You don't owe the DNC a single thing. I want to pull up this other video here. I found this on Neoliberal Tears. So I want to play this.
If they didn't want Trump, they wouldn't have picked Biden to be their candidate. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist when I say the DNC wants a Trump presidency because they make so much more money when Trump is president. Biden isn't even campaigning. Kamala Harris was somewhere today saying that we need a 6-week ceasefire 5 months into a genocide. Like, they purposefully do worse than the bare minimum, like almost a satirical level of political commentary. And I'm left with only one conclusion: they want Trump. That's what they want. It's not going to be fascism for them. It's not going to be Christian nationalism for them. It's going to be fascist Christian nationalism for us. And that could monetarily benefit the elites, the Democratic elites, the elites who happen to be Democrats on paper, they say. I literally majored in politics in college. And
now I want to just expand a little bit more on what she said here. First of all, why is she making that statement that Democrats want Trump? Uncommitted voters, this is for you. Uncommitted voters, listen well. Donald Trump is the biggest job producer for the Democratic Party, corporate media, and the vote blue no matter who sphere. Okay? Now, what do I mean by this? In 2016, when Trump got elected into office, as soon as he ascended to the presidency, we saw a rise, an uptick in so many social justice groups. We saw a rise in so many shows, be they on cable news or either at internet news magazines and outlets, talking about the danger of Donald Trump. Because that's all what they talked about. Trump, 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 Trump. And then also voter shaming people, but also sending out links on how to support Democrat organizations. It's always about the dollars. It's always about the money. You see, they say Trump is a threat, but in all reality, they're probably so excited that he's back in because they can capitalize off of his name. The Democratic Party, if they really wanted to face him, they'd be ready to fight for Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness. They'd be fighting for all these progressive policies that are universally popular amongst all Americans. But they choose not to. Instead, they rely on fear tactics. And they also expect many suckers, many people, Americans, to give up their hard-earned money and donate to the Democratic Party. Trump was a good cash cow for Democrats. Trump was a good cash cow for Nancy Pelosi. Trump is a good cash cow for all these social justice groups that were preying on people's fears. And I'm pretty sure some of you uncommitted voters might have fallen into that trap. And that's fine. That's fine. A lot of people don't understand it's just how weak and pathetic our politicians are. They don't see the bigger picture of actually expanding and using their power. They only see controlling people, keeping them in line, keeping them afraid, and giving up their hard-earned cash to go to the Democratic Party. The DNC doesn't have a plan. Oh, actually, correction, they do have a plan, and that is to fundraise, fundraise, fundraise. And by the way, as soon as Rachel Maddow is done being on TV, she probably goes to her secret little office and starts dancing around saying, I'm so glad Donald Trump is back because she's going to be bringing in the views. Everyone in corporate media, CNN, MSNBC, are probably secretly hoping that on election night, Trump does win the presidency because he will bring in the views. He was that initial injection to save corporate media. A lot of people forget that before Trump really started becoming a name in American politics, and of course he was already, but before his campaign that shook the foundations of the neoliberal system, corporate media was dying. It was dying. It was going to be dead, and they needed something, and Trump was their guy. He put them back to life. He made them relevant, at least to the people who are dedicated in watching cable news. That's the truth about it. Uncommitted voters. Your organization and your movement has to have an impact, and it has to be consistent. Because no matter what happens, Biden won't listen to you, but he will send you emails begging you for money. I want to rewind this a little bit here.
it's not going to be Christian nationalism for them. It's going to be fascist Christian nationalism for us. And that could monetarily benefit the elites, the Democratic elites, the elites who happen to be Democrats on paper, they say. I literally majored in politics in college, and I can make no sense of these choices. Me not voting for Biden is not what is going to get Trump elected. Trump is getting elected because clearly the DNC and all of the elites in politics are in cahoots with having a Trump presidency.
And nothing she said was wrong. I also want to pull up this little segment here too, because we got to talk about our good friend Fredo. Fredo. Chris Cuomo says the quiet part out loud about CNN and the two-party system. This was recently happening on the PBD podcast. So Fredo, tell the people what's really going on.
I have a different perspective, right? I have a different perspective on CNN.
Oh. And I just lost that video. So let's see if I can try and get it back again. I just lost the video. Oh no. Fredo, we lost you. Let's see if we can get let's see if we can get Chris Cuomo again. Hang on. Chris Cuomo, my video. Oh man, messing around with the stream. Here we go. So let's go ahead. Bring up Fredo one more time. One more time. Sorry about that, lovelies. Let's go ahead and bring this up.
I have a different perspective, right? I have a different perspective on CNN. I think it's frustrating for some people that I don't harbor resentment or ill will, and it's not because I'm a good person. It's just I don't find it productive. I don't see CNN that way. You are right about Trump. Trump changed the game, and I mean the word game as an operative phrase. Our politics, our political culture, the coverage of it, the parties, it's all part of a game dynamic that only works to the advantage of the players in the game and not to you. And I think that is one of the biggest problems.
Yo, Chris, you giving away that secret sauce, Fredo. Come on, you can't do that, Fredo.
That really can change the game is people understanding that it's not about them anymore. Even last night, everybody watched the State of the Union for a take on whether the president of the United States was competent, literally like in a physical sense, which is a very low bar. And what was he going to say about Trump? Nobody watched for what they were going to say about you or your life or what it's supposed to be about. He didn't even tell us what the State of the Union is because everybody knows the answer. Everybody knows it's in a state of disunion. So I didn't see.
Chris, if you're trying to get back on the CNN, that's not going to help you. You can't give away that secret sauce. Come on, what's wrong with you? But see, I've been noticing something. Not only people like Chris Cuomo, but Mehdi Hassan, they're all those people from BSDNC and CNN are leaving, or either that's slowly phasing out, and they're coming onto social media to start their own little podcast or YouTube channel because they know that the gig is up. No one's buying corporate media's BS anymore.
CNN as a malefactor. I still don't. I think it's one of the strongest organizations in the world when it comes to coverage.
Oh, he's still loyal to CNN. Notice me, CNN. Notice me. See, uncommitted voters. You need to become fully aware. What you've done here is phenomenal. But it will mean nothing if you give in to the pressure from corporate media and to the Democratic Party. Break away from the system.